Hello, YouTube. So I wanted to make a video on something that has just caught my attention, and that is WB Games. David, Warner Brothers Discovery head David Zaslav has acknowledged the failure, obviously, the massive failure and flop that was Joker Folly Deluxe. And um and um he has he is he said recently, we need to deliver more consistency. Oh, you think? um and he is shifting he is shifting focus to and in terms of Warner Brothers gaming division, after the massive failure of Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, who people I'm sure know. That was sadly Rocksteady that made the game. The legendary studio behind the acclaimed Batman Arkham series. Um, it has just been announced that a remake of Batman Arkham Asylum has supposedly been greenlit at Rocksteady Studios. I think this is a very, 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 very bad idea. Now, I myself, I grew up, I remember the day that Batman Arkham Asylum came out. It came out, in the year 2009. And I remember when the game first came out. Hell, I remember when the game I remember getting that issue of Game Informer in the mail, and the game being advertised in the magazine, obviously, before, sadly, before they went bankrupt. And I remember, seeing those pictures, in the, I remember, seeing those pictures, for the first time, before the game was coming out, and just, being completely blown away by, obviously by, like how the game looked. And, like how, like how the game was going to look, I should say. Um, and the Batman veteran, Paul Dini, was going to write the game, and that got me, and having grown up with watching Batman the Animated Series. I was obviously very, 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 very excited. Um, and and then and then and then obviously, like when the game came out, um, and then obviously, like when the game came out, it was it was considered, obviously, it was considered, not just, it was considered, not just, the greatest Batman game ever made, but also one of the greatest games ever made, but also, it was also considered, one of the greatest games of all time. Um, and in a large, a large portion of that is obviously because, you have, is obviously because, you had Kevin Conroy's Batman, you had, Mark Hamill as, the Joker, You had Steve Bloom as, Killer Croc. Um, you had I think it was Arlene Sorkin as, Harley Quinn. You had a lot of the original voice cast from Batman the Animated Series returning, um, for the game. And Batman veteran comic book writer, Paul Dini writing it. I mean, but not just that. Batman Arkham Asylum was really the first Batman game to really, really understand Batman, to really, really do, but Batman Arkham Asylum was a story driven, um, you know, uh, detective, story. It really, really embraced, the detective side of, a Batman. Like you would, like one of the key elements in the game is you would constantly be following trails. Um, you would constantly be, following trails to, so like, for example, Commissioner Gordon, is taking at some point in the game is taken hostage um, by Harley Quinn, and you need to pick up, and Gordon, um, leaves a trail for you to follow, for you to find him, and you're following that trail. And there's a lot of that in the game. There is a lot of, detective work, in the game, and that's one of the things that made the game so good. In addition to obviously, everything else that made the game so good. Um, and it was such a very, very unique experience, and really the game was really, really, really ahead of its time. You really had just, a group of people who just really, really were, you had a group who were just very, 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 very passionate, um about, about the project, and just really, 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 really knew what they were doing. um and in remaking the game, I don't see the point at all in remaking, a game that not only, still holds up incredibly well, but is still considered, one of the greatest games, of all time. There's no reason at all for this game to be remade. Um, there's no reason at all for this game to be remade. However, from what I understand, they are bringing back the voice cast of Arkham Origins. Um, so in other words, they are bringing back Troy Baker and Troy Baker and Mark Hamill. I'm okay. Troy Baker and Roger Craig Smith, who voiced Batman and the Joker in, obviously, Batman Arkham Origins, which, yes, that game wasn't as well received as the Arkham trilogy, because, to remind people, Rocksteady didn't make Arkham Origins. WB Games Montreal did. However, Roger Craig Smith's and Troy Baker's performances as Batman and the Joker were were met with widespread acclaim, and were met with, just, tremendous praise. Um, and just were met with, tremendous praise, across the board. Um, and in remaking, it's like, it's like, why remake something that's already perfect? I'm and like, yes, I understand why they're doing it, because I obviously understand why they're doing it, desperation and creative bankruptcy. That's really what it boils down to. Um, there are so many other characters that they could be doing, that they could be doing a Superman game, they could be doing the Flash, they could be doing a Green Lantern game, they could be doing they could be doing better yet, they could be doing Batman Beyond. I Batman Beyond, I can't, like, the list of people screaming right now for a Batman Beyond game is endless. Seriously, there are so many people out there right now who want a Batman Beyond game, myself included. Um, but yeah, no, there's no reason at all for this game to be getting a remake. You had Batman Arkham Asylum is one of the best friggin' interpretations of Batman that I've ever seen. And obviously a lot of the credit goes to not goes to not just Paul Dini, but obviously Sefton Hill and Jamie Walker, um who were the former heads of Rocksteady at when the Arkham series was going on. Um, they sadly they are no longer there at the company. Um, they left the company. I think it might have been like last year. I think it might have been like earlier this year or last year that they left. I don't remember which. I know it was fairly recently. Um, but they left they left to actually form their own game company, which I don't remember the name of off the top of my head. But but I know for a fact that they are no longer there at Rocksteady. So so it's like you don't even have the main geniuses that made the Arkham series what it was. It's you don't you don't even have the main geniuses anymore. It's like uh it's like and yes, I know that there are a lot of I know that there are some gaming series out there. I know there are some game series out there where the creators aren't there anymore, but they still do an incredible job with it regardless. Two biggest examples are obviously the Resident Evil remakes and Assassin's Creed. um it, um and Assassin's Creed, for the most part anyway. I know a couple of games in the series have been hit or miss. I know there's a lot of backlash right now with Assassin's Creed Shadows, but we'll see what happens there. Um yeah, no, it's and especially after just the massive failure and shit show that was Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. I mean, I mean, so many people lost their jobs after that game came out. Um, and the game was just massively panned, both critically and commercially. Um, and and the um, and like everybody, just everybody just fucking hated it. I didn't. And interestingly enough, like I knew that game was going to be I knew right from the start that game was going to be a complete disaster. um I knew it. I knew from the minute that I saw the first gameplay trailer that dropped. I was like, this looks like a giant clusterfuck. And and especially what they did to Batman, um, in the game, which I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna waste anyone's time here talking about, like how bad that was, but just I mean, they didn't, like they didn't even keep, like the core of the characters intact. I mean, yes, I mean, I mean, yes, you had Tara Strong voicing, Harley Quinn, which is all well and good, but it just, nothing could save that game. Nothing, nothing, um, nothing could have saved that game. That game, but yeah, no, there's absolutely no reason at all for this game to be getting a remake. And Arkham Asylum, Arkham Asylum is what made people fall in love with the series. It was a story driven, it was a story driven action, action game. And yes, yes, while the later games, City and Night, um City and Night, took those gameplay elements and expanded upon them. I mean, it's like, why, it's like, what could you, um like, what could you do for, for a remake? I mean, like, why? I mean, like, you're literally trying to remake perfection, and which more often than not usually doesn't end up working in cases, in cases like this. I mean, what are you gonna do? I mean, it's like, what are you gonna do? Make it, make it open world, expand, um, bring back a lot of the same things that were in, Arkham, Arkham City and Arkham, and Arkham Knight. It's like, okay, you could do that, and that would be, that would be all well and good. But at the same time, there, there's no reason for it. You have all these other DC characters out there. Um, you have all these other, you have all these other characters out there who deserve games, and who deserve, the love and respect that, that Batman was given. And I mean, the Flash needs, it's like I said before, the Flash needs a game. The Green Lantern, Green Arrow, Aquaman, um, all these other great characters out there who could, that they could do, Superman, who has, obviously, who has yet, to have, a good game. Um, I, there's just, there's no reason to be doing this. It's like, Batman is not your only character. And, but again, they're doing it because, desperation, creative bankruptcy, um, and obviously they're doing it because, as much as I hate to admit it, they're doing it, because they know, how much people want, another Arkham game. And, I don't, and there are plenty of people out there who will make, the same arguments that I am, and that's obviously, Batman is not your only DC character. There are plenty of other characters, within DC that, that need games, or that deserve that deserve their own game. Um, but yeah, I and Arkham Asylum. I mean, Arkham Asylum. When it came out, it was game of the year. It was game of the month. It was it was getting like I remember when the game first came out, and like everybody was freaking out about it, literally, like everybody was freaking out about everybody was freaking out about um just like how good the game was, and it still holds up incredibly well. That game was really ahead of its time, and that game was just so ahead of its time, and was just so incredible that even today it's still a game that you can finally look back on and just say, I can't believe how good this game is, or like I can't believe how good this game was. And and yes, I know they did the Batman, Return to Arkham Remastered, um, the difference, the difference between a remaster and a remake is, a remaster is basically just like a fresh coat of paint. You can still, like, despite the touch up in the graphics, you can still detect a hint of the game's original graphics in there. A remake, um, a remake is, you're basically starting from scratch. So the entire game, is rebuilt from the ground up, like everything, from the voice work to the graphics to the gameplay to the setting to, literally everything is rebuilt from the ground up. And with a remake, you obviously, you with a remake, you obviously, you have a lot more to work with. You have a lot more room to spread out. You have a lot more creative freedom when you're doing when you're doing a remake. Um, but but again, I don't see any reason at all for this game to get a remake. And it's not and again, you don't have Sefton Hill and Jamie Walker there anymore, who who literally made the series what it was, who literally made the Arkham trilogy so beloved. I mean, it's just, it's just there's no reason to be doing this at all. It's like, there's no reason to be doing this at all. You could be doing a Batman Beyond game. You could be doing a Batman Beyond game instead and still have that same effect, if not better. Like like if like if people like if they announced the Batman Beyond game, I guarantee, I guarantee I guarantee you that would blow up social media. People would fans, fans would go ballistic if if a Batman Beyond game was announced. But but yeah, and I mean, I know that and Monolith, who did Middle who did the who did the Middle Earth games, Middle Earth, Shadow of Mordor and Shadow of War. um a few years back now, or a couple years back, they announced a Wonder Woman game, and there's been literally nothing on that since then. I There's been no update from them at all since its announcement. So so who knows? Like, what's going on there? Who knows? What's going on there? Um, I did hear a rumor that the game that the game, has had a very troubled, or is currently having a very troubled road in development. And given the fact that there's been no update or no word about it since then, that um, it definitely wouldn't surprise me. Um, but yeah, no, I mean, do I think that a remake could potentially be good? Yeah, I mean, I guess. I mean, bringing back, Roger Craig Smith and Troy Baker, I think is definitely a step in the right direction. Um, but given just how bad, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League was, it's gonna take a lot for me to be able, to trust them again, and for me to be able, to get excited um, about this. And I know some people out there are sick of, remakes and sick of remasters. Me personally, I love remakes. I love remasters. There are so many games out there that deserve, remakes and remasters. Like, um, there are so many games out there, of remakes and remasters. Batman Arkham Asylum is not, um, Batman Arkham Asylum is one that, that does not need a remake. It doesn't. And, it doesn't. And it just, it doesn't. There's no reason for it. Give it to, give it to another, uh, you know, uh, you know, give it to another, remake, remake something else. Do something else that, that deserves a remake or deserves a remaster, or do a different character entirely. Um, but yeah, but I mean, yeah, but like I said, desperation and creative bankruptcy is what it boils down to. And given the giant shit show that Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League was, Rocksteady is obviously very, very desperate right now, um to win back, fans, and to win back, the trust of, the trust of the people, and the trust of the fans. um it's gonna, all I can say right now is it's gonna take a hell of a lot more for me. It's gonna take a hell of a lot more for me to be able, to get excited about this. I think it's a good choice that they're bringing, Troy and Roger back. I think that's a smart move. Um, but um, but it's going to take a hell of a lot more than that. It's going to take a hell of a lot more than that, than for me to be able, to get excited about this, because Arkham Asylum, um, Arkham Asylum was so fantastic and so incredible. And it's just, it's a love letter to, to Batman fans, and to, so many comic book fans across the board. um and it made people fall in love with, with Batman games, and with, and just with, with so many other, it set the standard for for Batman, for superhero games, and and for Batman, and for Batman games in general. Um, and in remaking something so beloved and so fantastic is again, there's just there's no reason for it. Um, there's no reason for it at all, and there are so many other things that they could be doing. But yeah, anyway, let me know what you guys think. Let me know let me know what your thoughts are. Like, subscribe, and I will talk to you guys later. Peace.